Red Solo Cup.
Come lift me up.
Is that the line?
Drink me up? I don't know.
I lift you up.
Oh, okay.
Let's have a party.
Bing. So, Anthony's been getting a lot of questions about BLE, Brooks Last Edge. And
Glad you know the name of it.
And I realized that I don't know anything about it. So I'm going to ask him a couple of questions, do a little interview, and you guys can come along for the ride. What? So Anthony, what's BLE?
BLE is Brooks Last Edge. It's a subset that I came up with a few years ago. Basically what it is you're on your last F2L slot, the corner's solved, but the edge is up top, and you have the rest of the edges oriented. So basically it looks like a cross on top. In my case, it's a green cross. And it's 27 algorithms that will allow you to skip OLL every time you get one of these cases.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Were you the first guy to come up with this idea?
Well, I came up with the idea independently of anyone else, but after I published the list of algorithms, I was contacted by Jack Johnston, and a few months prior, he had published something about a system he came up with called JJLS, and his system was basically, it's more comprehensive than just BLE, and it's kind of like a system to solve the cube that you could use every time. But essentially the second half of the system for this part of the method was BLE. Now, he came up with the idea, like wanted to get the method out there, wanted to just like, promote creativity and coming up with methods and whatnot. So he got Michael Gottlieb, another cuber who's been, super helpful in the community. He came up with the QQ timer. He's developed like a bunch of different algorithm sets and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, Michael and Jack released JJLS and the algs for it, but they weren't super great. I mean, it was a very unrefined method. And I came up with BLE, generated really fast algorithms, and then Jack and I kind of talked about it, and he said, you know what, you put a lot more work into this second half of the system than I did, came up with it independently, you're using it in a different way, different reason, yada yada. So basically Jack said, let's make the second half of the system called BLE, and when it's used in conjunction with the rest of this, that's JJLS.
Is there any system of learning BLE? Like, is it more intuitive, or are they algorithms that you actually have to like work on and memorize? And is there an order to learning them?
That's actually like a really good question.
We came up with this on the spot, guys.
No, we did though.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. Because it's, I don't know if there's because here, but you're inserting that last edge, and most of the algs are really intuitive. Like you take the corner out, and then you're gonna pair it up with the edge in some weird way, and then insert it in some weird way. And overall, the algorithms are very intuitive. They're fast. Felix uses most of them. So it's definitely worth learning as its own individual subset, as long as you're going to use the algs and recognize the cases when you get them. Just don't expect the cases to pop up all the time, because they don't. But when they do, it's awesome.
That's cool. So since you came up with BLE, do you use them all the time?
Well, so there are 27 cases, and about half of them, maybe a little less than half, only have two corners misoriented. And whenever you're working with any subset like this, when only two corners are twisted instead of three, it's a lot easier to recognize the cases right away. So I use all the cases where there are only two corners misoriented, but I don't use all of them when there are three corners misoriented. I know that Felix, he told me of the 27 cases, he uses 2/3 of them, and there are 9 cases that he'd rather just do a edge insert alg to go to a ZB. So I'll talk to him about that, and maybe I release a second video with a list of the algs that you want to learn and the 9 that Felix would say, let's do ZB. Cheers.